violence. We would never be able to complete all of this work without the help of our amazing stewardship volunteers. Cyrus Laureate deserves special mention for his skill, expertise, vision, and just pure hard work for allowing many of these projects to happen. His most recent handiwork can be seen at Porter Preserve, where he designed and built several sets of stairs and bridges. Alan Bellows has also been a major contributor to the organization this summer and has been relied upon for his chainsaw expertise and stewardship of Ovens Mouth. He also crafted the amazing new bench that now resides at one of Porter's Preserve vistas. Stan Wakefield also has a very busy summer installing and diligently monitoring bird boxes at Oak Point Farm, Lobster Cove, and Singing Meadows, along with mowing and maintaining the popular trails at Lobster Cove. John Elwell has provided significant contributions at Oak Point Farm and other preserves and has been crucial in maintaining the organization's equipment. Ron and Fred continue to spearhead the apple core and have organized several work days where they're planting new heirloom varieties to complete the orchards at both preserves, Oak Point Farm and Singing Meadows. Preserve stewards also deserve much credit for quietly maintaining the trails, restocking maps, and essentially being the eyes and ears on the ground at our preserves. Many thanks to Louise and Paul Cowan, Mike and Lee Pander, Marianne Reynolds, Nancy Poore, and many others for their stewardship. And also a huge thanks to Jerry Gamage for once again providing another season of ferrying our caretakers back and forth to Damas Cove. Simply due to the nature of the work, stewardship is easier to manage during a pandemic than environmental education. But we did manage to adapt our educational offerings this year to a new way of life. Our goal was to encourage people to explore on their own without hosting in-person events. We offered Discover the Preserves Hiking Challenge, a self-guided forest bathing walk, and story trail walks with a new story every 2 weeks. Volunteer Stan Wakefield kept people updated on our website with the bird word, and Tracy Hall started a blog entitled This Week in Nature, Notes from a Naturalist, which continues to be updated regularly. We have also increased our educational social media posts. Recently, Tracy created several grab-and-go kits with activities and equipment which can be used for teachers for various subjects, from birds to trees. These kits are available to teachers to borrow and use when needed until Tracy is allowed to visit classrooms in person again. Tracy has been allowed to return to Southport Central School again this year to offer the 5th year of Forest School Fridays for the youngest children there. We plan to begin offering in-person events again as soon as we feel it can be done safely and efficiently for everyone. The Edwin J. Green Boothbay Coastal Water Monitoring Program continues without interruption. As a testament to the success of this program, we once again, for the 3rd year in a row, had all volunteer water monitors return again. And we're able to add Oak Point Farm as a 12th sampling site. Speaking of Oak Point Farm, we continue to make progress toward the vision to make this place a welcoming nature center and destination for all people to enjoy the natural beauty of the Boothbay region. Thanks to the hard work of Ronnie and his crew at Campbell's Construction, we have recently completed Phase 2 renovation to the farmhouse. This work included replacing all the siding and insulation and the windows on the south side of the home. The deck has also been replaced and significantly enlarged, and we're standing on this beautiful deck right now. Other work at Oak Point Farm includes upgraded accessible and short-term parking down near the farmhouse, as well as the completion of our very first stretch of universal access trail here at Oak Point Farm. From the farmhouse down to the dock, this trail is already being used by people who need barrier-free surface for navigation. We also saw tremendous visitation at Oak Point Farm this summer, with everyone commenting on the beautiful and functional improvements being made. And we've accomplished a lot in the office behind the scenes. Following the successful completion of the This Land is Your Land campaign for Oak Point Farm, we needed to upgrade the organization's CRM, or Customer Relationship Management Software. It's very exciting stuff. So, in other words, we now have a completely new member and donor database, which helps us to complete our work in the office. In 2014, Boothbay Region Land Trust achieved first-time accreditation from the National Land Trust Accreditation Commission. Our 5-year renewal was due in December, and following another rigorous submission of information, we recently were notified that we have been reaccredited for another 5-year term. And finally, as you all have seen, Boothbay Region Land Trust has a new, updated logo and brand. The board and staff felt that our 40th anniversary was the perfect time to reflect on our past and move forward with a fresh new look. This new logo was specifically designed to honor our organization's long history, represent the unique coastal region we serve, and embody our values of conservation and sustainability. We also wanted to reproduce well in print and look good on a hat and a shirt. So there you have it. 1 year, jam-packed with growth and development. And as we enter our 40th year, I'd say we are poised to accomplish much more. Thank you. And now I'm just moving on to the next phase, which is I spoke to you about many of the things we did this past summer, but I failed to mention just one, mainly because I knew I was going to talk about it right now. Earlier this year, with our 40th anniversary approaching and a global pandemic forcing us to cancel in-person programming, we wanted a way to bring Boothbay Region Land Trust preserves to the people who might not be able to physically get to them. So the staff came up with the concept of a series of short videos, short films, which would talk about the amazing history of some of our preserves and share their beauty. We knew this was a job for a professional, and wow, did we luck out. In steps Bob Christ, photographer, filmmaker, and volunteer extraordinaire. Bob's professional career as a freelance photographer and filmmaker he's worked extensively on assignments for magazines such as National Geographic Traveler, Smithsonian, and Islands. These assignments have taken him all over the world to all 7 continents and have won him numerous awards. Bob worked with us to create 4 short films. The first 3, Ovens Mouth Preserve, Porter Preserve, and Dameras Cove Island, are all available on our website or YouTube channel. And the 4th film was recently completed and will be premiered here tonight. We cannot thank Bob enough for contributing his amazing talents to this organization, and I, for one, truly hope we can continue to work together for a long time. Now, without further ado, the 4th short film, Oak Point Farm.
With its 32 acres of shorelines, fields, forests, and a freshwater pond, Oak Point Farm is one of the most diverse and important preserves in the Boothbay Region Land Trust system. The farm has a long history that dates back to the 1600s, and it's the last of what was once a common sight in this region, a saltwater farm. These types of farms were located on the coast and typically harvested products from both land and sea. In fact, we left an old-fashioned hayrake right where we found it to pay tribute to the property's agricultural past. The 1 Mile Loop Trail features a variety of distinct habitats. This mixture of environments makes the preserve a favorite stopover for migratory birds and butterflies. The farmhouse was recently renovated to function as our visitor center and headquarters, as well as a hub for our educational programming. Each year we offer over 100 free programs, from guided nature hikes to natural history lectures for schools, organized groups, and the general public. Oak Point Farm's Heritage Orchard contains a variety of heirloom trees, including some that are over 100 years old. A team of volunteers known as the Apple Corps oversee the health and stewardship of the orchard, along with the orchards in our other preserves. The farm is also where we coordinate a large network of our volunteers in a coastal water monitoring program. The high-quality data collected by these citizen scientists is then provided to the Maine Department of Environmental Protection and other interested groups for their studies of coastal water quality. So Oak Point Farm is the key to furthering our appreciation of our natural landscapes and heritage, and to pass that appreciation on to future generations. And for us at Boothbay Region Land Trust, that's important.
Thank you very much. And thanks again to Bob for putting that video together for us and the rest of those videos. I'd like to remind everybody one more time before we continue, if you haven't done so already, please visit our website. Go to the bottom of the web page for the annual meeting, and please make sure that you cast your vote to approve the next slate of board members and officers. And now I'm going to introduce Hal Moorfield. Hal is the current president of Boothbay Region Land Trust, and he's gonna talk to us about a few other things. So here he is, Hal.
Good afternoon. As you heard from Nick's remarks, our member volunteers are really the lifeblood of this land trust. They allow us to operate on a scale that we could not operate on without the dozens of volunteers who freely give their time to do virtually everything for us, from office work to monitoring the quality of the ocean water and the other things that Nick mentioned. Today, I'd like to take a minute to talk about 4 of our member volunteers and what they have done in addition to serving as directors for the Land Trust for the last 6 years. They are all term limited by our bylaws and can no longer serve as directors, but this will not end their association with the Land Trust because, as you'll see, they've done so much more than simply be a director. And this is the class of director, these 4, that I call the Oak Point Farm class, because they were there in the initial deliberations to determine what our new home was going to be, what it should be. They were there as we identified Oak Point Farm, and we acquired it, and they've been here throughout all the decisions in respect of the many renovations. And I'm just so sorry that all of you can't be here today to see the tremendous work that's been done here, but hopefully you'll each have a chance to do that soon. The first I'd like to thank is Maria Janess. Throughout this time, she has been a full-time employee of the Maine Island Trail Association. And you heard Nick talk about how our 2 organizations have grown closer together and partnered on various items. And that is because of Maria's work. The first several years of her term as director, she served as our stewardship chair as well. And she helped bring many good ideas from Maine Island Trail to the land trust, including things like eradicating invasive species, putting some of our preserves on the main island trail network and their brochure of trails. And she more recently has provided tremendous leadership on several key issues, not the least of which was deciding upon our new logo. Next, I'd like to talk a minute about someone who probably needs no introduction, Jonathan Tyndall, because I think he knows everybody on the peninsula. In any case, Jonathan has chaired our Lands Committee for the past several years, and he's also chaired our nominating committee, who screens our new officer and director candidates and recommend them to the board. He has provided constant leadership and excellent advice to the board throughout his 6 years of service. Next is someone most people also know, and that is Ron Ross. Simply put, Ron has done more than any member volunteer over the last 6 years to promote the land trust to our community. His background in fundraising for nonprofits has proved invaluable to us. He helped create the Osprey Legacy Gift Society to encourage our members to include the land trust in their estate planning. He founded the Apple Corps at BRLT, which has taken on a life of its own. He's nurtured our apple orchard, not just here, but the other apple trees at the other preserves. He has identified them by communicating with the state because some of the apple trees were so old we didn't know what they were. He's pruned them. He's planted new ones. And I probably don't have to remind you of his apple talks. Over the past several summers, his talks drew the biggest crowds to the land trust ever, over 150 people. Those talks were educational, informative, entertaining, and you got to eat apples. And I hope he'll consider doing it again in the future. Last but not least is Kathy Kahn. Kathy has served as a director for the past 6 years, but she's also served as our corporate secretary. But that just scratches the surface about the work she's done for the land trust. She's helped design all of the improvements at the Oak Point Farmhouse, and there's been quite a number of them, including designing this beautiful deck that I'm standing on today. She planned and planted the garden of native plants on the north entrance to the farmhouse, and then I find her out here weeding them and watering them herself. She's also planned the new member memorial garden, which will be up in the apple orchard to my right and have a beautiful view, a very peaceful spot looking through the orchard across the freshwater lake behind me to the ocean. She has designed that. She has been a tireless worker and sometimes seemed to be more of a full-time employee than a volunteer. The board wishes to thank each of them for their dedication, and it will be very difficult to replace them. And I do want to extend my heartfelt thanks to all of you volunteers that I don't have the time to mention by name. It's what you do that makes this land trust successful. Now, let me introduce Jonathan Tyndall, who will report to you about the election.
Thank you, Hal. Good afternoon. I stand before you as the chairperson for the Boothbay Region Land Trust's nominating committee. This has been a pleasure for me in considering the number of individuals in this community who give their time and talent to our local nonprofits as they may contribute to the Boothbay Region Land Trust. Today I'd like to put before you 3 nominees for a 3-year term as Land Trust directors. First is Rick Elder. Rick and his wife Monica are residents of Edgecombe. Professionally, Rick is the CFO for First National Bank, and he has extensive nonprofit volunteerism in serving as the president of the Boothbay Region YMCA Board of Trustees, the Boothbay Harbor Rotary Club, and also as the treasurer for St. Andrew's Hospital in the past. Also nominated today is Stan Wakefield. Stan is a 22-year United States Navy veteran, and he's a master gardener and also an avid birder. Since moving to East Boothbay full-time, Stan has dedicated hours and hours of time volunteering for the Land Trust, including particularly in the realm of birding and establishing bird boxes throughout our preserves. And finally, Rob Wheeler. Rob and Sandy Wheeler are residents of Boothbay, where Rob is from, and Rob is the owner of J. Edward Knight Insurance, and he too has extensive nonprofit volunteerism in his background. I'm very proud of this slate for a 3-year term, and it is our hope that the membership will accept these nominations and approve them today. I'm also here to ask the membership to approve a 2nd-year term for Valerie Young. Valerie has served 1 3-year term and has agreed to serve a 2nd 3-year term with the blessing of the membership. And finally, I'm here to nominate our slate of officers for the upcoming year, and I will run down those right now. So Hal Moorfield is able and willing to serve a another year as president of the board, John Welsh as vice president, Valerie Young as secretary, and David Witt as treasurer. I'd like to take a moment now for folks to cast their votes, and as a reminder, that can be found on the Boothbay Region Land Trust webpage at the bottom of the page under Annual Meeting. Okay, all those in favor of accepting the slate for new directors, a 2nd term for Valerie Young, and the slate of officers for the coming year, would you please vote now? Any opposed? Please cast your vote now. Thank you. The results are in, and the membership has accepted the slate for the coming year. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan. Now that the Boothbay Region Land Trust has reached middle age, 40 years old, I'd like to share with you some of our plans as we move forward into the next 40 years. First, some of the new initiatives we're working on include developing that first member memorial garden I described before. There will be beautiful stones laid on the ground, there'll be a bench, it'll be a quiet, contemplative area, and members who have passed on can be memorialized there by having their names carved into those stones. You've heard we've just updated our logo. Over the course of the next year, you'll see that logo incorporated into new signs for the various preserves, our stationery, our clothing, and other items. And Nick mentioned the reaccreditation that the Land Trust just received, and I want to take one more moment on that. The national organization that approves and accredits land trusts takes a real interest in the financial clarity, the financial disclosure of land trusts. That's one of their real sticking points, to make sure that the land trusts know where the money is and report it properly. This year, when we received reaccreditation, we actually received a compliment from the Land Trust Alliance about the manner in which we clearly present our financial information to the board and the staff. And that is a result of the work of our Finance Committee and its chair, David Witt, and our Executive Director, Nick Ulo. So that was very nice to get that compliment. At a retreat held by the board last October, we identified several goals for the organization. Two of the most important were these. First, to inventory every one of our preserves and to try to put them in the best possible condition. And as Nick mentioned, you probably have seen the results of some of that work at Porter and some of the other preserves, and there'll be a lot more going on in the years ahead in that. And second, we decided we'd like to try to partner with other nonprofits in our community to see if by collaborating we could create a greater, more positive impact on our community. So we were immediately interested when the Boothbay Region Water District approached us about helping them preserve the quality of the drinking water on our peninsula. They asked us to help them raise the money necessary to either purchase outright or acquire conservation easements on the land within the watershed for the drinking water, and that is Adams Pond and Knickerbocker Lake. It's hard to think of anything more important to the health of a community than having an adequate supply of clean drinking water. Most people aren't aware that Adams Pond and Knickerbocker Lake were placed on the state of Maine's list of endangered lakes some time ago due to runoff pollution from development, primarily fertilizer and the phosphorus in the fertilizer. If enough undeveloped land can be acquired and preserved in the watershed, then that land itself will act as a natural filter to clean the water, and we will never need a new, huge, expensive water treatment plant on the Boothbay Peninsula. And we've agreed that any land or easement acquired could be held by the Land Trust, and the Land Trust would then be free to create new trails as appropriate, perhaps one along the west side of Adams Lake. And we were working on that. We then thought of trying to bring more nonprofits into this venture. So we approached Coastal Maine Botanical Gardens, who expressed an interest in joining us. Then the 3 towns who get their drinking water from Adams Pond were approached, and as you might imagine, they were very interested in joining us, as was the Knickerbocker Lake Homeowners Association. Most recently, having heard about our venture, Bigelow Labs approached us and asked if they could join, and we were delighted to have them join us. Nothing like having real scientists explain the problem with the pollution in the lake. Clearly, the idea of preserving the quality of our drinking water is an idea that resonates with many people. We're also examining whether we can increase the length of our new universal access trail, which I wish you could see today. It runs from the new parking lot around the farmhouse out to the ocean. It's about a third of a mile, and it is gorgeous. But we're thinking of extending it around the freshwater lake behind me, linking it back into the parking lot where it could be almost a mile long and expose people to other aspects of this property. We're also working on creating a donor recognition wall on the exterior of the farmhouse, which would honor all the donors to our campaign for Oak Point Farm, and that wall would also feature our new logo. But having taken a quick peek at what lies ahead, we'd like to honor all of those who came before us, all of the staff, volunteers, and members that created the Boothbay Land Trust and nurtured it to adulthood, to middle age. And as we were preparing for today and looking through some of the old records, Skywood came across this newsletter from the Boothbay Land Trust from February 1982. And I know you can't see it very well, but this newsletter reported on the first full year of the Land Trust operation. Meaning, as Nick said, it was incorporated September of 1980. The first full year of operations was 81, and the newsletter was issued the following February. And interestingly, there's no osprey on this. There's a cormorant. I don't know what happened to the cormorant and how we got the osprey, but that'll be for another annual meeting. Included in this newsletter is a treasurer's report, which I know you're going to find interesting. For the first full year of operations, total receipts of the Land Trust, $3,043.33. But what's more is at the end of the year, the money left in the bank was a total of $2.66. And I thought I had problems as president. Needless to say, the next paragraph asks for more donations. But we do recognize that we stand on the broad shoulders of all of those who came before us, all the staff, members, and volunteers who created and nurtured this land trust. So we hope you will enjoy this look back at all of them through this slideshow, looking at all of those people that helped us bring this land trust to where it is today. Thank you so much for joining us today.